Hi guys, it's Crafting Journey with Rebecca. Good morning, it's Sunday morning. I wanted to welcome you all to my channel. This is primarily a diamond painting channel, but recently I have been trying other crafts. So what I'm going to start to do is just bring to you what I've learned. If you're finding this channel as a tutorial, it certainly will serve that purpose, but maybe from a slightly different angle, because I am not approaching this as an expert. I am certainly by no means an expert. If we run into some trouble, I'm going to go find an expert and come back and we'll work this thing out together. So here's what I have started so far on this loom knitting. I don't even know if this thing has a name. I'm trying to look, see if it has a name. It's just a loom. This was sent to me by a very dear subscriber, and so I have been working the rib stitch with this beautiful, it's sort of a medium weight yarn, but it's super, super soft. It's about, right now, it's about 30 inches. I want it to be 45. But I mentioned when I started it that I would probably, I'm a larger person. I need to be smaller. There's no doubt about that. But I mentioned that I probably would like a wider scarf than this. But what they did say is, the longer that you make this, the more times you can wrap it around, and it's super soft. So I will probably do that, but we're going to do this same stitch on another loom that was sent to me after I said, hey, I'd like a larger loom or a larger scarf. Someone sent me a larger loom. So this loom here has 14 stitches, and it looks like a lot more because each peg adds up. There's 30 pegs here. There's the 32 pegs? 32 pegs. There's the 2 on the end, the 4 on the end, which I'm not using in this stitch. I'm using the top row and the bottom row. So each stitch is 1 top row, 1 bottom row. So those 2 pegs are 1 stitch. These 2 pegs are 1 stitch. So this is 14 stitches across. Just an FYI. Things I've learned. So this was sent to me, and this is a 10-inch loom. This is a 4-inch loom. So now I've got this 10-inch loom, and I can't get it out of the box. All right, let's get it out of the box. And thank you to the subscriber that sent it to me. So this is an adjustable loom. If you actually look on the back, you can do it at the 2 centimeter or the middle. I can't talk. This is the 2 centimeter. Then it goes out a little bit more and then a little bit wider, depending on your pattern. The pattern I'm going to work on is the 2 centimeter. Now it comes with the handle, the yarn hook. This is a yarn hook, and I don't have a blue one. I'm excited. It looks like a dental instrument. Let me take it out of the bag, and I will show you up close. And this, ladies and gentlemen, if you're happen to be a guy and you're listening to this, there's what it looks like. It looks like a dental instrument, but it's not a terribly difficult craft. It really, really isn't. You just have to follow instructions. So it's got a little rubber band around here that was holding the hook. So here's where things will adjust. So I'm just going to tighten it up because I'm using the 2 centimeters. Then they sent some extra screws. I'm guessing that's in case you maybe lose one. Not sure. But actually, these are going 2 different ways. Let's move this way. All right, we're tightening it up because this is the way we want to use the 2 centimeters. So see, you don't have any pegs on the end, and then you've got the top row of the peg and the bottom row of the peg. So this is actually 24 pegs. So 24 at the top, 24 at the bottom. So like I said, each top and bottom is 1 stitch. And the pattern that we're going to be doing, it's the same. I want the same scarf. I just want it wider. So this is going to be a rib stitch pattern once we cast on. Now I have this yarn that's also medium weight that I thought I would, also sent to me by a subscriber, and it's gorgeous. If you've got yarn sitting around your house and you want to send it to me so I can try these projects, yeah, you can. That's awesome. This is so cool. So you can make a basic knit scarf with this. I don't actually knit, I do crochet, and I'm starting this loom knitting. So I'm going to do some, probably, maybe some crochet tutorials. I am by no means not the best crocheter in the world. So this is a 4, which is a medium weight. So we're going to take this, we're going to do I was hoping it had like a middle. Maybe it does. Let's see. I don't want to pull too much out. All right, you know what? We're just gonna go from the top. Now whether I should or should not do that, I don't know. Leave a comment. But the pattern's on the back. There is a pattern on the back, not the one I'm going to use. And then it comes with a little book which also has how to do it in there, how to do the different stitches and patterns. So you want to do a slip stitch. Now this is the way I do it. By no means there's 100 different ways. I'm just wrapping it around my finger almost twice, once and a half. I put it inside and I pull it. So you want to put that, and you want to make sure that you can see what the heck I'm doing on this first peg. So let me show you up close. So we've got our slip knot on the first peg. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're just going to cast on. So cast on means we're just going to take that yarn and go back and forth. So not on this first one. We're on this top stitch. Now we're going to go to the second stitch, which is 1 over. And now we're going to go to the third stitch. So it's every other stitch. And you kind of want to hold on to it, because if you let go, this yarn is going to bounce and just come right off the hooks. I think I missed one. I did. And it's real easy to miss one. See, I did miss one. So you're just going back and forth across I'm actually holding it with my finger because it keeps bouncing. Every other peg. And it bounced off. And the reason is because I don't have enough yarn loose. See, I told you guys I'm not an expert, but I'm somebody that's fun to watch, because I make mistakes like everybody else. So if I've made the mistake, you might be making the same mistake. We might make mistakes together, and that's half the fun of crafting. Okay, so I've gotten all the way to the end. It's just down here. We're going to bring it around. See, we're going to flip our board and we're going to go the opposite direction over. And what you want to do is you want to see how there's a stitch on every other hook. We're going to make sure now that we're putting a stitch on the hook that doesn't have one on there. So as you're going back and forth, make sure you're putting that onto the one that doesn't have a hook or a stitch. A piece of yarn, guys. Oh my goodness, I need to learn the lingo. So that's what I'm doing. So this is called casting on. So I'm casting on my stitches, because you're always going to want one row of yarn on your peg. If you see 0 on your peg, something has happened in Denmark, or in your craft room that you didn't want to happen. Okay, so now we actually have one loop. Loop, that's the word. Look how pretty and nice and neat. So we got one loop on every hook. Now, how do I get to stay in place without it bouncing back? What I'm going to do is we're going to come here, or we're going to hold on for dear life, because if I let go, what's going to happen? Look. Oh, I thought it was going to bounce. Okay, it didn't bounce. Yay. All right, I needed to let go, though. I need to get another piece of yarn, and I have yarn everywhere. Hold, please. Okay, have another piece of yarn. You want to get yarn that's you want to get a piece that is 2 to 3 times longer than your loom. So about 30 inches. So here's one, and I'm not stretching it because I don't want it to be stretched. This is great yarn. I don't want to use that for this, but let me get some scrap yarn. Okay, we have scrap yarn. This is something that I tried to crochet back in December. If you can guess what you think it was supposed to be, good luck. And it wasn't supposed to be a hat. But yeah, it did not turn out to be anything. It was a huge failure. Because sometimes my crafts go a little astray. But you know what? I keep trying until I get it right, okay? So that one, I don't know if I kept trying on that one, but I think I just moved on to a different project. All right, so we want something that is 2 to 3 times the length of this board. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have 3 times the length of this board. Yay! All right. So what are we going to do with that, Rebecca? Okay, we're going to put this across. We're going to lay it across those stitches that we just did. And we're going to push them down a little. We're just going to push them down a little. And if they bounce off like I thought they were going to, just put them back on. All right, so that is, we laid that across. And now we're going to let some more yarn out of our ball. Okay, now we're going to take the end of this and we're just going to do the exact same thing. We're going to, the exact same thing we just did to cast on. We're going to do one more thing of stitches. So we're going to go over the top loop and then every other loop. So the second loop on the top, the fourth on the bottom. So it's every other peg. Wow, I just love this color blue. I think that's why I like doing this. I love the colors. I love that it turns out to be something, which is very cool. Now the yarn that we have put in the middle here, that red piece of yarn, that is called our anchor yarn. So now we're down at the end. I'm going to flip my board and then just come back every other. So now there's going to be 2 loops on every peg. And I would check that when you're done, check to make sure that you have 2 loops on every peg. Sometimes I'll check and it'll be 3 and I'll be like, oh my God, what the heck did I do? Because 3 is wrong. 0 would be wrong. 3 would be wrong. So then you have to go back and frog it. And what frog means, because I did not know this, frog means you're taking it apart and starting again. And I say that from experience. So I'm around the last peg. So now at this point, I need my crochet hook. No, you don't. You need your loom hook. All right. Thank God for film editing, but sometimes I just leave that in there because it's funny. So now I've got my first, I'm holding on to that, and that's the top loop. And I'm going to come over that top loop. I'm holding on to it so it doesn't let go. I'm going to get the bottom loop and bring that over the top of the peg. So let me show you here what I am doing. Okay, so I'm getting the bottom loop here. And you can do it either way. Sometimes it's easier to go from the bottom. Sometimes you go from the top. All right. And then I'm going to bring that over. Oops, see, I made a mistake. Don't panic when this happens because you can just put that back on the hook. You go fishing for the other one. There it is. There it is. Okay. So one of these things is not like the other. Yes. All right. So you want to bring the bottom over the top. And that was not. That must have been the top. All right. Bring. Is it this one? This one? Okay. Was that it? I don't know. Okay, you know what? We're going to start again. So we take this back. Take your loop back. Don't panic when this happens because it will happen. So let's start where we were before. All right. And I didn't have to go too far back. So we're going to go over the peg, over the peg, over the peg. Over the peg. Nope, see, we're going to have to go all the way back on this one. Just the top. And not unusual for me, again, guys. It happens. So what's the problem is that bottom loop is missing. So we definitely have to go all the way back to the beginning, which, again, not a big deal. Not a big deal. So we're going to go here and no. All right, all the way. But why not? Let's one more time for the top. Okay. So you have your slip knot on the first stitch. This is good practice, guys. I tell myself, right? Right. Where's our camera? Let's turn the camera so we're not fishing to find the camera all the time. Look, I have my shirt on, coffee, because adulting is hard. It's probably copyrighted. I'm not allowed to show you that. Anyway, all right, we're going to try this again from the top. All right, we're doing every other. We're putting a row around. We're just wrapping it around the peg. Every other peg. And this is good practice. And sometimes you will have to start again and maybe again. I think the first one, that first scarf you're seeing, I must have started that thing 9 times because something wouldn't go right. So when something doesn't go right for me, I just start over. And that's probably not the right way to do things. You should probably figure out where you went wrong. But no, I just start over. All right, so we're going to do the second. I flipped my board and now I'm putting a loop where there wasn't one. See, every other one doesn't have a loop. So now I'm going to go back and forth and put a loop over the peg that doesn't have a loop, both on the bottom and the top. And if you have questions, please leave them in the comments. If I do not know the answer to your question, I will do my best to find out the answer. And that way we both learn together. So, all right, now we've done the first row. So we're going to push it down because we need to put our anchor yarn there. And what is the anchor yarn? That's the one we cut 2 to 3 times the length of the board. And we want to set that down in the middle there. Okay, now we got our yarn again, and we're going to go right back to that top. See, you're at the bottom right now. We're going to go to the top, and we're just going to go back and forth over the stitches, over the pegs. And we're going to put a loop on every other peg, just like we did before. Isn't that the fun part about crafts, is just kind of figuring it out in your head, and then all of a sudden it clicks, oh, that, okay, that's the way it works. So now we're going to flip the board, and we are going to go the other way, because now we want, as you can see, the bottom, there's a bottom row of loops, then the top row only has every other loop on the peg. So we're going to go back and forth till we have loops, 2 loops on every peg. So now we have casted on 24 stitches. So now at this point, your pattern may go somewhere else or not. I'm going to just check the instructions real quick because, yeah, let's just, last time it didn't go the way we expected it to. Let's make sure that we're doing it correctly. And we are. Okay. So just want to make sure. When in doubt, okay, so I'm holding that bottom and at least until this bottom piece of yarn goes over the top piece to anchor it, or to just sort of hold it in place so things don't go. And be careful on these first few, because last time we weren't and it came unraveled. Okay, so there, that's the first one. I'm still going to hold on and just until we get those first few. So we're going under that bottom loop and bring it over the top. Under the bottom loop, bring it over the top. Let me get a little closer to the camera so you can see. Under the bottom loop, bring it over the top of the peg. Under the bottom loop, over the top of the peg. And keep going until you finish this bottom row. Hopefully all goes well. You just have to be careful every now and then to make sure this, you're not bringing that other loop with you, because that's where things will go wrong if you bring in the other loop with you. And it can happen. So we're bringing the bottom loop over the top, over the top. Now I'm going this way. You can also go under this way and pull it over. It's whatever you prefer. This happens to be a really good hook here. So it kind of works either way. Each peg has like this little indentation here where your, I want to call it dental instrument, where your hook will fit in behind that yarn. And then you can hook it and it goes over the top. Okay, we're almost to the end. And then what, Rebecca? Okay, we've gotten the bottom. Now we're going to turn our work, and we're going to start at this other end and bring it over the top. And it's going to be loose, and that's okay. Just leave it loose. If you need to push the material down to keep it over that other side, that's going to be loose, and that is okay. I always find like the second side to be a little looser than the first side. So we're doing this whole thing. This is all part of our casting on process because we wanted to cast on 24 stitches. Sometimes this pattern that we're doing, you could have done 20 or 24. I wanted a larger size, so I'm going 24. And come on over. We go this way. Let's try under. Let's try under and over. It's the same thing. I'm just putting my needle behind the yarn in a different spot, but I'm still pulling it over the peg. Actually, it's more comfortable for me to do it this way. And there you go. You can push it down. In fact, you should push it down. So you should have, at this point, one loop on every hook and your anchor yarn in between. Don't pull out that anchor yarn. You're going to need that later on. So now we're going to start a rib stitch. So the rib stitch, you're going to want to go every other, you have this here, you want to loop it around your first hook there. Then you're going to go behind the third peg, not the second peg, the third peg. And that's the point where you're going to start every other. So you're going to go back to the third peg over here. And now you're every other. Now you're on the fifth peg. You want to go around the fifth peg and then the fifth peg over here. And then the seventh peg and the seventh peg over here. And you're just wrapping it around every other peg at this point. So let's undo it. I'll start again. So you go around this first peg with the yarn, the end of your yarn, around the first peg, and then not your second peg, your third peg. You want to go around that, pull it up, and then go around the third peg the other way. So what we're doing is we're making this little diagonal pattern here on every other stitch. Now it starts on the third stitch, but then it goes to every other stitch. Now I need to pull out some more yarn. This is the part sometimes I get this part wrong. All right, and when you get to the bottom here, you're gonna say, "Oh my gosh, there's not enough." So we're on that third peg right now, right here, and we're gonna go around the second peg on the bottom. But instead of going around this first peg, we're gonna go around the second peg. So that's gonna make it right next to the one you just did. Let me back it up real quick. We're gonna back up. We're doing every other. So we're, hold on. All right, we're doing every other. And then when we get to here, wait, did I mess it up? I'm trying to explain. Okay, every other, yeah. All right, we're right at that second from the bottom. And we're gonna go across here to the second one. And you still got these two pegs left. There's no, you should be looking for a peg down here, but there isn't one. So instead of going every other, we're just going to go to the pegs that are there. And we're going to wrap it around. But then we're going to bring it around and we're going to go the other way. And we want, see how your diagonal is all going this way. This way. We're going to go the other way. So we're going to take that loop and we're going to come up And if you look at the top, you'll see there's loops that only have one loop on them. There's pegs that only have one loop on them. So wherever there's one loop, that's where we want to go. So we're going to take that bottom one. We're going to go around that bottom one, the first one, and we're going over here to the third one because that does not have a second. And then we're going to go to this third one here, and then we're going to go to this one. And that one needs a third, another, and then this one. I'm just trying to see if I messed up here. And you'll see it's going the opposite direction now at this point. And we're going to have 2 on every peg. Now we're getting back down towards the bottom. And you're putting it on that second peg there. And then the second peg here. You really kind of got to look to see where there is no second loop. And then you're bringing it back to the first one. So now every peg should have 2 loops. So once you're back here, you're going to, I hold on to it because I don't want it, if I feel like if I let it loose, it's going to go flying. The yarn's going to come bouncing off the pegs. It probably wouldn't, but I don't know. So I'm bringing that bottom loop over that first one. That way it kind of anchors the yarn and I can let go. So again, this is the point where we're going to pull that bottom loop over the top. So now we're doing the rib stitch. So this is the rib stitch. So we created a diagonal going one way and a diagonal going the other way. So once we have all of these over the pegs, I'll go over that one more time. And this is the part that takes practice. And I've done it maybe a few thousand times now, making this other scarf. But when I first started out, I really messed it up a few times and kind of had to, redo it, rethink what I was doing, which pegs I was putting what on. But we're going to go over it one more time. And you have the ability to stop and rewind and look and say, what the heck is Rebecca doing? And you can curse at me too if you want. You can use some curse words. I can't hear you, so you're not hurting my feelings. I might have, I might be butthurt if I could hear you, but maybe not, because sometimes that in crafting you have to use some curse words. Oh man, my arm hurts today. I did a lot of floor mopping yesterday, and today I got a brand new vacuum, so I was vacuuming. And okay, so we took them off the one row. We're going to flip this around and we're going to take them off the other row. Now, like I said, these are going to be a little looser, and that's okay. Just push the yarn down so we don't let those loops get away from us. So they're a little looser on the second row. So we're just putting them over. Bottom row, over the top of the peg, over the top row, and over the top of the peg. And that's, now you are loom knitting. And it'll be, you have to do this same process, 3, 4, 5 times before. It's going to start coming out of that bottom, out of this bottom. Pretty soon the yarn will start coming out. You'll start seeing a finished product. And when you do, it's such a good feeling to have accomplished something and to see your work. But until that happens, you're thinking, what in the world am I doing and where is it going? At least that's what I thought. So let's get all this off the hook. We're almost there. We're gonna do it one more time. because I know you all are going, what? Please start over, Rebecca. Okay, rib stitch. Yes, rib stitch. Okay, the last two are kind of loose. Last one's always a little loose. Be careful with it. It wants to take off every loop there, but there. So there. Now push them down. So you have room to put the next row. All right, so now you've got one loop on everything, and you've got this craziness, spiderwebby looking nonsense going on in the middle, and in the bottom, that's where your scarf is going to come out, or whatever it is you're making. All right, we're going to do this one more time from the top. I'm not allowed to sing. I got to remember that. All right. You got this yarn. This is where you left off. Now we're going to go over that top hook. We're going to loop it. Then we're going to count 3 over. 1, 2, 3. And that is where we're going to go over the bottom peg. And then we're going to come straight across. But we're not going this way counterclockwise. We're going clockwise over that. Yeah, we're just looping it over the third there. And then now we're going every other on our work. Every other, we're going round and round, round the bottom, round the top. I just want to make sure I'm doing it right. Round the bottom, round the top. Every other peg is going to have 2 loops on it at this point. Oh, I need some more yarn, more yarn. I can't wait to get to that pink. It's so pretty. I love pink. You'll find out I love pink. All right, so what were we doing? Okay, every other. Now we're getting towards the bottom and we're running out of pegs. Okay, every other. Okay, so we're right here. We're on that second peg from the end on this side where my finger is. And we're going to bring that down. And oh dear, there's no peg over here to go to. So we're just going to go back to that first peg. And so, because we can't do every other peg here because there's just one peg here. So we'll go there. Go around it and come down to this bottom peg, and we're going to go around as we flip our board. And now we're going to bring it around that bottom peg, and we're going to look for the third hook, or the third peg up at the top. 1, 2, 3. Because if you look at those first 2, they've already got 2 loops on them. This one only has 1 loop, the third peg. So we're going to go around that bottom, over to top of that third peg, and then on the bottom, see how that third peg doesn't have a loop, 2 loops? We're doing that. So if you get confused on this second part, look for the peg that only has 1 loop. See, this one only has 1 loop. Now let's go to the bottom. Oh, there one, only 1 loop there. This one has 1 loop. This one has 1 loop. But what you're doing is you're going every other one at this point. And if you feel comfortable and want to go a little faster, yay. I don't, because I'm afraid I'm going to make a mistake. You get a little bit more comfortable with it as time goes on. Okay, so we're getting towards the end. Here we go. Okay, we're at that second to last peg. We're coming around this second peg. This already has 2 on it. But this one over here only has 1, so we need to go around it. This one right here. And we're going to hold on to our yarn here. We're going to get this yarn out of the way. This is where we grab our hook and we bring the bottom over the top. And then we go all the way down again. You've done it. Now, like I said, rewind if you need to watch it again. You are doing the rib stitch. I will do some more and come back in our next episode, and we'll see how you did. Please feel free to look down in the description. There is my Facebook group. You can join that Facebook group, put in your work in progress, show me your work, Let's talk about it. If you're confused about something, like I said, I will try to help you. So please feel free to join that Facebook group, put in your pictures, and let's help each other. If you found some really cool colored yarn, I love to see that, because man, if you're going to send me shopping, I love to shop. So we'd love to see your pictures there. Like I said, it is primarily a diamond painting community, but we all do other crafts. We do crocheting, we do cross stitching, not a lot of paper crafts yet, but I think there are some members that are getting into the paper crafts. Not me, I can't afford a cry cut machine, but I'm thinking about it. The problem is there's just not enough time in the day to do everything, to be good at everything. So what I'm trying to do is bring you a few little things that you can do, maybe while you're watching television, that are fun, productive. Okay, we've done this row. Let's go to the next row, flip it over. One of the other things I've done by mistake is I'll get this top row I'll get it down to one loop, and I'll forget about the bottom row, and I'll start, and then I'll realize that I've got 3 loops on the bottom, and that, like I said, if you've got 3 loops or no loops, something's gone wrong. So I quickly realize it and then fix it. So let's just do the bottom row, and then I think we're going to end today there. Keep going. Like I said, show me your work. If there's something else you would like me to bring to the channel to show you, something we can learn together, that would be awesome. I am always up for a challenge. So see how quickly this goes once you kind of get the hang of it, just over the top. You're watching the survivor people run around naked looking for rice and fruit and food and fish, and you're making a scarf at the same time. How cool is that? Yep, it's that easy. There we go. All right, 2 more. 1, and the end one you always got to watch. Sometimes it tries to all come off at the same time. There we go. Push it down. Push it down. Okay, there's what we have inside. There's the bottom. You can see it's creeping down there. It's going to come out soon. So guys, thanks for coming on this journey with me. Again, I am That Journey Chick on Instagram, Crafting Journey with Rebecca on YouTube, Crafting Journey Facebook page. You too will have this is once it comes out, this is what the rib stitch looks like, guys. This is what it's going to look like once it starts coming out of the bottom. I promise you. So I hope this was informative. Like I said, leave me some questions and comments, and I will see you in my next video.